What's good, bro? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Okay, cool. Peace, everybody. How y'all doing tonight? Hey, peace. I wonder if I can. I had some technical difficulties. I tried to figure out how to get these pictures over here and the stuff that I don't have wrote down, which I need to grab my book right quick. Y'all can share the live if y'all don't mind, please. Sharing it. Why is that there? I can't not see this bigger than that. Oh, there you go. Learned something. All right. Wait on a few more people. Clyde, I see your text. I was trying to get on here. I mean your call, not text. Your missed call. I have to call you after here after I finish this. But yeah, y'all. As y'all can see, the title of this live is The Conscious Paradox. All right, I'm gonna just have to get my book. Peace to everybody coming in. I see YouTube got some new things going on these pages. It just lets you know it's been a while since I've been over here live. But yeah, are y'all hearing me through the mic, or are y'all hearing me through like? Because I can't even tell if the mic is working or not. But yeah, we about to get started. I definitely have to get these kids together. So the other night, with all the stuff that's going on with my page and stuff like that, my page is, I kind of was able to take a deep dive and wanting to understand thoughts a little bit more, and not only the consciousness, but the unconsciousness of it all. So as I was diving, I was realizing that the unconscious mind, which we considered or have discovered is below the subconscious. You have three parts of your mind: the consciousness, the subconscious, and the unconscious. If you're not aware, the consciousness just is this existence, okay, this life. The subconscious deals with symbolism, thoughts, and things that you project into your consciousness. That can be your belief systems, um, your perspectives, and whatnot. So, and the unconscious is the things that we store, we bury. Um, they actually start as a thought, and sometimes they do play out in our consciousness. But most likely, we bury these thoughts, um, these patterns, um, all different certain types of aspects when it comes to our thinking process. So, as I was diving, it was coming to me that the unconscious is similar to the paradox of the Pandora box. Okay. I know we have dived into the Pandora box being the third eye. And to be realistically where the third eye really lies is in the subconsciousness of it all. Okay. So it's the seat of the soul, it's where we operate at. It's where we generate and direct our thoughts before it becomes consciousness or becomes our life. Um, so from that, when you think of the Pandora box, you think of it as a chest, a closet, um, you know, things that are put in a darkness in a sense. All right. They become nothingness to your existence. So a lot of the times when we're so caught up in our consciousness, a lot of times when we're in our consciousness, we're so caught up in the consciousness, which is this world, our experience, we don't dive into the unconsciousness. That unconsciousness takes you to your internal self. Okay. It's the source of everything in this existence. Okay. It is the nothingness. Okay. And a lot of our data is stored in our unconscious mind. So a lot of times where people are getting downloads or, they deep into thought and they start to gain internal information, it's from the unconscious mind. Okay. That means you're diving deep. There are images of the unconscious mind, such as um the ice, okay, the broken ice, the Arctic ice, okay, and it has the three levels of the unconsciousness. I mean, of the consciousness in the subconscious and the unconscious, okay. So, and the unconscious is below the water, okay, it's deep, okay, as such as like I told y'all earlier, I have to be careful with my words. So those who are in control of images, dealing with space and time, okay, they're taking a deep dive, all right? And they're gaining the source of things and they project these images, okay, of what they perceive or what their perspective is, okay? And they give it to the public, all right? Now, these thoughts, like I said, that's stored in your unconscious minds, old creations, ancient energy, ancient times, ancient information, okay? All of these, okay, entails are or once shed in our light. And when I mean shed in your light, I mean your consciousness, okay? I mean they once played out in existence in a reality, okay? In some form or fashion, okay? Other than that, it wouldn't be stored in your unconscious mind. That unconsciousness also runs deep with the it just came to me. Oh, it's gonna have to come back. But peace, sis. Peace, sis. Um, but it start with an A. It'll come to me, y'all. But with all of that being hidden, okay, occult information, ancient energy, ancient information, old memories, history, um, civilization, evolving. All of this is in the unconsciousness. Okay, it's stored there. So it once played out in the light, which is our conscious mind. Okay, this reality. Okay, Akashic records. Thank you, girl. You heard me. you knew I was trying to figure out. Start with A. Thank you. Yes, the Akashic records. Okay, is definitely symbolic to the unconscious mind. Everything is stored there. Okay, it's so deep that technology today, okay, they don't really have to dive in, into a meditative state. It helps, but there's different tools and tactics that they use to dive into that information. Okay. Whether it's getting blood, you know, from you, your DNA. Okay. It's all connected to that source. I shared your thank you, sis. Yeah, please, if y'all don't mind sharing the video, that'll definitely help those, I guess, who haven't realized I'm gone. But I'm still here. All right. If you also think about the mind and its thoughts, there are many thoughts that run through your mind a day, seconds. Okay. All right. And within seconds, your thoughts, you go through hundreds of thoughts. And some of them most likely are going to be a play out in your consciousness. And some of them you're going to store in your unconscious. Okay. Because the unconscious just spits out all of this frequency, these vibrations of thoughts. Okay. Okay. So you're constantly pumping this energy, this force, which is a creation energy. All right. It creates. Okay. Yes, they want your DNA, in fact, do. Okay. These plasma centers and everything, yeah, they might help, other people, but they're definitely studying the blood. It has always been a study. Okay. When I was locked up, they wouldn't release me until I let them have my DNA. Yeah, they be doing that to put you on file so they could detect you too. But definitely study you. Okay. Um, I remember one time I was in the hospital and they was taking blood. They left a tube behind. I actually took that tube, brought it home. Okay. Because I'm like, y'all got enough already. Okay. Like, let me take this one with me. And I took it. Okay. But yeah, they definitely be out for your blood. Um, it's a vital source of life when it comes to our existence. Okay. So it's going to always be studied, even with the IA today. It is definitely a major study with your DNA. Okay. Not only do it has the consciousness of us, but it definitely runs off of our energy, our blood, you know, our plasma, our cells, all of that. What are your thoughts on sickle cell and anemia? Um, I can see it as a chemical imbalance, but not all chemical imbalances are bad. They're actually powerful forces. Okay. Um, so when it comes to that, it can be definitely a low. I think it deals with iron and all of that too, but your blood cells, it can be a low count on that, of course, what they say with the doctor's term and stuff like that. But I see that as a chemical imbalance, but a powerful force to be reckoned with. Okay. Different. It's a different mutation when it comes to the DNA. All right. Because I definitely have, anemia, sickle cell anemia. And when I want to say when I was with Jace, when I was pregnant with Jace or Jen, they tried to say I didn't have it anymore. But right after, I got it back again. Okay. But we can definitely do a deeper dive on that, sis. Just let me get into a space to just really dive into the terminologies, the symbolism of it, and we can break that shit all the way down. But I definitely do feel at this moment it's a mutation of a powerful cell. Okay. Peace, peace, sis. You can feel it when they leave out with your blood. When I started to refuse them, they put me under. They even took my foot to get my shit. Yeah, they'll do a lot of shit. It's so much, study plasma in the cells of the body. They're so powerful when it comes to talking about cloning and stuff. When they talk about cloning and stuff, it has a lot to do with creation, all right, and using technology to operate off of that. Funny, I never correlated sickle cell anemia and being anemic, low iron. Right? They gave me some pills on it one time before. Yeah, it definitely can. But yes, take study, research stuff that right there. I'm pretty sure you're gonna get some shit to blow your mind because they do a lot when it comes to recreating. Okay. IA, you know. Um, like I said, a lot of these unconscious thoughts come to surface. Um, and they are processed, but sometimes we quickly bury them or, we just bury them when they're not valid or beneficial in our process at the time. Okay. A lot of people can gain information and it's in like, we say you can't wake everybody up, or at least I pass the seed to them and eventually they will get it. Yeah, it has to be a time. Just like when we say our kids are not listening to us or you're not listening to us, people actually do. They're storing that shit in their unconscious mind. And when that thing comes, and when it comes into a process of being act out or action of that effect, then they start to realize, oh shit, I was told this before, or oh yeah, I got this back then, or such and such told me not to do this and that. You know, people remember and want to listen to what they want to listen to, but they always are storing it. Okay. And the unconscious mind never hit or miss. It's gonna always get it. Okay. All right. So yeah, a lot of people, they don't hear what they don't be hearing what you be saying at times. Sometimes hell, we don't be hearing what people be saying, but we be storing that shit. Be automatically stored into our unconscious mind until we cross that threshold. No, in the beginning they talk about, in the Bible or of creation stuff, they talking about how it was just darkness. Where that's the unconscious mind. That's the nothingness that they're speaking about. Okay, that Pandora's box, the paradox. Um, the Akashic records, all of that, they're talking about that energy, that source. Okay. That's something out of nothing. Okay. And at the beginning of, the Bible or creation um, perspective of how, how life was created, um, we all know for a fact that in this darkness, which is the unconscious mind, there's no structure. Um, there's no programs. Okay. It's not even a grid. Okay. There's no life, nothing exists there. Okay. Until we until life had its great big spark, as they might reference as the Big Bang. Okay. Or the birth of life. Okay. And once life had its the unconscious mind had a great big spark, which is a thought. Okay. Understand that. When the unconscious mind or the darkness had a spark or, created light, that's a spark in the mind. Okay. Like when you have a great idea or a aha moment, that is a spark, okay, going off in your mind. Okay. When you're gravitated to something strongly, all right, in that thought, that process, okay, you gain a spark in it. And with that spark, it projects it in your consciousness. Okay. It's like, you just hit the stage and the lights are on. So it's showtime. Okay. And showtimes happens in the conscious mind. Okay. Everything here is conscious. So when people are talking about, oh, you're not conscious, they are conscious. Okay. If you wasn't conscious, there wouldn't be you in this existence. All right. All right. Because conscious is life. Conscious is the light. Okay. So we're all conscious. We just become aware. Okay. And when you become aware of things, you're on a totally different ball game because not only are you aware of the consciousness of it all, you're aware of your subconscious, you're aware of the unconscious, those things beyond the flesh. Okay. You start to see life beyond it. Okay. All right. Now, there were flames, but only created shadows in this unconscious mind. Like you have a low dim light in your unconscious mind. Okay. Peace, pieces. Okay, let me go ahead and put you on there. Okay. Trying to get all my minds on here as we go. All right. Keep the distractions away. But yeah, in the unconscious mind, there is a dim light. Okay. It's not as bright. Okay. There is some dimness about it. Okay. Some might call it a shimmer of light, a glow, or in a sense. Okay. But it created shadows. All right. That is life in the unconsciousness of the nothingness. Okay. So when people are talking about going into do shadow work, they are going into the unconscious mind. Okay? They are facing these shadows in the unconscious mind, your Pandora box, your paradox. Okay? Right? That authentically you energy. Right? And you're confronting these shadows that have become maybe monsters or boogeymen. Okay? Trauma, you know, um, something in the sorts that has kept you in a space of burden, okay, or distracted, or stuck in a sense. Okay, so this is all in the unconscious mind. So there are shadows in the unconsciousness. Sometimes I see shadows in the consciousness, and when I see shadows in the consciousness, that means I'm seeing a figure of someone in their authentic self. Okay, all right. The first time I seen self, there was nothing but a shadow of me. Okay, and that shadow controls everything from the subconscious to the consciousness in my reality. That's who's sitting in the soul of the seed. Okay, in the subconscious or the third eye, as they would say. Okay, that's what's a part of the Almighty. Okay, nothingness. Okay, and damn near scared the shit out of me, but to see that and to see yourself looking through the body as this shadow figure, looking through the windows of your house. Okay, because these are just windows. Okay. Um. Also, with the Independent movie, that y'all might be remember this, the first Independence movie, when the dude had the little alien in the head. Okay. Yeah, that's a fragment of who you are. Okay, it's just look at it as a shadow. Okay, that's the real you. Okay. So when that great spark took place, it created a bigger light, which is the sun, as they say, or the Son of God, which is Jesus. Okay. And it created this 3D world. Okay. Because this body is 3D. Okay. The body is 3D. This world is 3D. That's the grid. Okay. Understand the three in this D, because we know D means dimension. So understand the three. Okay. When people are talking about 5D, okay, 3D ain't going anywhere. It's the blueprint to our existence. 5D is just another elevation of intelligence of self. Okay. All right. A little bit more different. Um, and with this 3D world, the consciousness, okay, your consciousness, your reality, okay, it is created, it created color, okay, that prisma, that spectrum, all right, the diamond, as they say, okay. And with that prisma, that diamond, okay, it is shielded like a mirror, all right, because we talk about the mirror world or the mirror verse, okay, it's just a reflection. You created a reflection, okay, self created a reflection, all right. And we know in the mirror, there are countless illusions. Okay. You can portray whoever you want to be in a mirror. Okay. So with the subconscious and the thoughts, okay, that have been stored in our unconscious and being birthed, all right, meaning planted in our unconscious, and they become fruitful in our consciousness. All right. It is an absolute mirror of self. All right. And it lays on top of the unconsciousness, which is that subconscious. Okay. All right. And with the light it creates, with that light, the sun, okay, it creates a grid. All right. From the consciousness to that great spark. All right. Creating a 3D world through the consciousness. All right. It creates a grid as well, an electromagnetic field. All right. That pulls thoughts, shadows into 3D figures. Right. I'm going to say that one more time in case you didn't catch that. Okay. From your unconscious mind, which is the nothingness. Okay. Because we create nothing, something out of nothing. Okay. So from that unconscious mind, which is your authentic self, the source of all. Okay. And from that, a great big spark took place. Okay. That great big spark becomes the sun, the light of the world. All right. Which is your consciousness. All right. And with that consciousness and that light, all right, it creates color. All right. Which is shielded by a mirror that lays on top of your unconsciousness. So that would be the subconscious. Between the conscious and the unconscious, the subconscious would be the mirror. That's where the operation and all of that take place. Okay. This world is also a replica of that mirror verse. Okay. So with it, it creates a grid. Okay. With that grid, it creates an electromagnetic field that pulls these thoughts, shadows into 3D figures. Okay. Which we see as the imagination. All right. Or imagery or symbolism. Okay. Funny, in the movie Tron Legacy, they refer to the grid a lot in this digitalized world, and it birthed the ISO, or it birthed themselves. Facts. Tron is actually a good movie too. But yeah, when they're talking about that grid, you're right. They're talking about a digital world. We're talking about this world. Okay. We're talking about the electromagnetic fields and the blueprint, okay, to this world, which is the existence of the consciousness. Okay. All right. The thoughts that ran its course were stored in the unconsciousness. Now, when we talk about what's beneficial to you and what's not beneficial to you, and things that's not beneficial to you at the moment, or they just not beneficial no more, we automatically store it in our unconscious mind. Our old ways of living, that country way, the natural way, all of that is in your unconsciousness. Okay. Because we have a lot of technology nowadays. But if you tap into your unconsciousness, a lot of that comes back to you naturally because that's where it lies. Okay. And as they run their course, They are stored in the unconscious, like I said, and on walls and books and monuments and pyramids, old structures. They're actually leaving, okay, old data, old memories from the old conscious, old structures from the old conscious, okay? Some of those are mimicked, okay? They are mimics of the unconsciousness, okay? Things that once were, okay? From an imagery perspective, all right? But they actually, we still have a lot of these structures here in the consciousness because they're once were replicas of us at that time life, that time, okay, that past life, okay? Trees have been here since the beginning of time, okay? And with trees being the oldest structures, okay, from the unconscious mind to subconscious to the consciousness, which play a part in the air we breathe, okay, part of the elements. All of this has its parts in the unconsciousness, okay, have this existence, okay? So when we discover these things from the unconsciousness, or can we say the past as well, it's a subconscious moment in our reality in the consciousness, okay? Like they say, history repeats itself, okay? Now, with these new past tracks and old intel information, they are also stored in the unconsciousness, okay? You want to get to know you a lot better, okay? You want to understand you a lot better. Take a dive into your unconscious thoughts, those thoughts that you do not want to front, those thoughts that you don't want to think of, those thoughts that you have buried, okay? Which are shadows in your mirror, okay? Get to know self, understand these um, unconscious thoughts that have been buried. Confront them as well, you know. The trees have lived many lives. They have seen things we have not. If their roots could talk the things they would say, I'm telling you, I'm telling you, I'm telling you, like trees have been through it all. Okay. All right. Even the mountains have significant structures. Okay. They are significant as well. And they have been around since the beginning of time because land on top of land on top of land on top of land. Understand the grids on top of grids on top of grids. Okay. But the 3D has always been the original blueprint. Okay. So yeah, trees definitely, if they really, really can talk, right? We probably can anyway. We just have to dive a little deeper because I know that that is information that is also in our unconscious minds because we was tapped into nature very deep in a point of our existence. So yeah, I'm pretty sure there is information on that. You know, they just have a different way of speaking. Okay. All right. Now, the first unconscious structure, image, keyword, image, okay, which has a lot to do with this matrix, which has a lot to do with the grid, okay? But the first unconscious structure image was in green. Yeah, they definitely can't talk. It was in green. So the first structure of self was green. All right. Remember, like when we are being birthed, you know, we got the birthmark is green, and you know, we look green, you know, we have that tint, you know, the veins look green. okay, or blue in a sense, but you know, take heed to that, okay? But the first unconscious structure image was in green, and guess what, y'all? It was a reptilian, all right? You might not understand, yeah, it was a reptilian, okay? And we have that DNA. See, this DNA is infinite, okay? We have so many sources of cells that is in the DNA, okay? To the point, life is what? Life is completely related to itself, okay, in some form, fashion, or way, okay? So, you know, our first unconscious structure image was in green, and it was a reptilian. Now, this reptilian that I seen in this structure of green, okay, I know a lot of people might say alien. That's cool too. We could say alien, because that's going to be something else I'm going to get into in just a minute. But we can say aliens. But if you look at ultrasound of a baby in a womb, the first structure of that embryo looks like I'm not gonna say a alien, but a reptilian in the form of like a snake, or the body is just one. There's no arms, no legs, no nothing. Right? It looks like a complete snail or snake. Okay, so that will represent a formation of reptilian. Okay. And when you do a shadow figure in the dark, which also blew my mind, you know how as kids we used to do shadow figures, you know, in the dark, in the light. I haven't even found my blunt up. Jen, get out of here. Um, the first one you would probably articulate or mimic would be a shape of a reptilian. Everything is together. Okay, we everybody can do the snake and as a shadow. Okay, okay. So that was another thing that came to me as I was diving in this, and I'm like, oh wow, that really makes sense, and it goes back to like, you know, the womb and stuff, and like I said, the embryo's first stage. Um, almost see through too. Yeah, almost. Yeah, definitely almost see through, sis. Okay. Um, so that definitely came to me, you know, when discovering that the structure was green and in a reptilian form. Okay. And it normally would be our first instinct when we do shadows in the dark, you know, playing as children. Now, this image also creates the Kundalini as well. Okay. So, from the unconscious mind to the subconscious to your consciousness, which is this reality. Okay. There has to be a force of energy. Okay. To keep this grid together, to keep this alignment together. Okay. To keep this existing going, other than just the light. Okay. Because that light needs some fire. It has to ignite to stay flaming, to stay shiny. Okay. So this image creates the Kundalini. Okay. And we know the Kundalini represents the spine. And we know from the spine, from the bottom up, it comes right to your unconsciousness. It doesn't go to your first eye, okay, which is the subconscious. It doesn't come to the front, okay, the frontal, okay. It doesn't come to that, all right. It comes straight up into the unconscious, okay. And with that energy force taking place, It creates a spark. Okay. It keeps you alive. It keeps you moving, motion, and it keeps you in existence. Okay. Like they say, when somebody transitions, the light goes out. Yeah. There's no more force behind it in this existence, in that suit, to keep your body, okay, in an imagery form or structure in this 3D. It has to have that light. Okay. Or you become invisible. All right. So this image is also a replica of the Kundalini symbol that is better known as the celestial body as well. Okay. The key word to the celestial body is celestial. Okay. Which also goes back to this reptilian in this green form. Okay. Little green man. Okay. It's definitely a direct connection, all right, to the unconscious, like I just said, and it passes through your subconscious, but it is activated directly from the unconscious. Okay. All right. They talk about the terrestrial energy. All right. And I think I have the origin to that again. Jenny Bell, please take a seat. Yes, I do. Okay. Terrestrial origin, terra, okay, means earth. So, means earth. Get out. It means earth. Okay. Also, with the whole word terrestrial, it means temporal or working mundane. Now, temporal caught my eye because I'm thinking of this temple. Okay. Here we go. Temporal. We're the temples. All right. And right here between your temples is where this consciousness lies. Okay. That frontal, your projector. All right. To you on stage or in this existence in life. Okay? It's your projector. It's your light. Okay. It's how you see images, shapes, symbols, whatever color in this existence. Okay. So when they said that, I'm like, yeah, okay, we got terrestrial. That's what that is. So there's a lot of information right now out about terrestrial energy or the extraterrestrials or even this 3-eye atlas that's coming into play. And somebody please remind me to bring that back up. 3-eye atlas. Okay. But all of this is activated from the unconsciousness. Okay. The celestial is where the extraterrestrial, like I said, one is established. All right. Okay. So if you've seen one in a physical form, it's because what is being fed to you in an imagery form, they are true shadow beings. Okay. They are true shadow beings. And they only exist beyond the flesh. So if you're seeing an alien here in this conscious world, it's only an imagery of what we've been fed or implanted into our unconscious mind to how it would look. But beyond that, it's just a shadow being. Yeah, 3-eye. They got it as the letter I, but 3-eye atlas. Remind me to say something in a minute about it, okay? Because I'm getting close to this extraterrestrial stuff, dealing with the unconsciousness and the subconscious and all of this, okay? Genesis, please. Shannon, please. Did you cut that off? Did you cut that off? Okay, can you get Jen? Tell Jen to come in there with you, please. Okay. Out of here. So it's being fed through your imagery, okay, which is through your lens of what it would look like. All right. But they do exist in a shadow being way. Everything does in shadows. Which we all do. So are you seeing you in the truth? And you basically just seeing you in another form as well, is what I was saying. Okay. You will always see you in different forms. Okay. Your true self has been altered in the mind. Okay. To how the conscious, to how the mind or the consciousness, to how you look or how they look or how others have perceived you, okay, by man's perspective, which you have created an illusion, okay. So these upper scale people, okay, they have created a whole screenplay on how everything is going to look, all right. We have been fed how we look, how we know that we are human. Who fed us that? Who fed us how humans look? All right. Because if we wasn't fed in a human form, we will only see ourselves as 3D images. When I mean 3D images, it's not a flesh like that. Okay. The flesh is the imagery of it, but the 3D is going to create a grid of who everybody looks like. Okay. Like some microchip, um, like some micro matrix looking shit. Okay. Everybody would be a number, some type of form. Okay. You would look just like the grid. You wouldn't have a suit. All right. So there has been people who have fed us that information as well. Okay. Who gave you your identity? All right. And that's just something, a whole nother video, but think about that. Who told you you was a human? Who told you you was a flesh? You know, you know, so, with the unconscious mind, a lot of things were stored and implanted in us to having an experience as well, but also it altered our minds, from our true authentic selves. Okay. Okay. That's why when we are born, we don't know who we are. Okay. Our mind is white, slate clean. You have to find yourself. You have to identify yourself through existence. Okay. Now, the unconscious mind, which is also the harvester, and it is also the mothership. Okay. And it's also the harvester to the mothership of the subconscious. Okay. That the celestial body passes through where the alien, which is a being, a foreigner, another, or beyond, which is that soul in a seat. Okay. So they don't exist on earth, which is the consciousness. They exist in the beyond, okay? The subconscious, which is beyond the subconscious. The sub being under or below, but also as subhuman or submarine, okay? They're just talking about the sub, breaking down the sub a little bit more, sub meaning under, below, subhuman or submarine, anything that's below surface, okay? So that alien, okay, or that mothership, as they would say, that is connected to the harvester, which is the unconscious. Because everybody, please hold on, y'all. It's about to kill me. You. I'm gonna get her, y'all. I'm gonna get her. She going right to sleep. Cuff style. I'm gonna put her right up under my arm and rock the bed. Okay. But what I was saying is that alien, you know, let me just start over because she kind of got me off track. The unconscious mind is the harvester to the mothership. Okay. We talk about the mothership and getting to the mothership, but that's just really the subconscious mind to the celestial body, okay, which passes through where the alien in which alien means foreigner, another, and beyond, okay? That means nobody of this earth, of this world, okay? And they don't exist on earth, like I just said, okay? Which is in this consciousness. They exist beyond, okay? The subconscious, which is in the consciousness, okay? Okay? And sub being meaning under or below, but also a subhuman or submarine. So this thing means things below the surface, okay, underneath this body. Okay. Now the subconscious mind does carry all of the realms. Girl, a mess. She a mess. The subconscious mind does carry all realms. So when we talking about we diving into this realm, we going to that realm. You know, I've been to the fairy realm. I've been to the Anunnaki realm. I've been to a higher intelligent realm. I've been to hell, or in the sense, I've been to heaven. All of these realms only exist in our subconscious, in the subconscious. Okay, because the subconscious is where memories lies as well, okay? The active data, okay, that is going to project into your consciousness, okay? So you can dive in different membranes through the subconsciousness, right? And you can travel different realms, okay? You can dive a little deeper in the unconsciousness because when you go below into the unconsciousness, you're not seeing realms like that. Okay. You are not seeing any type of realms. Okay. You gonna tap into different aspects dealing with your shadow self. Okay. You're going to see these realms as a trajectory, okay, or the main line or the lifeline to the subconscious. Okay. Okay. So your subconscious carries all your fairy tales, it carries all your stories, all your lives that you're actively, okay, in tune with. Okay. And those that you're not actively in tune with, they are stored in the unconscious mind. Okay. You can see them there, but you're going to see them for actually what they is. Okay. Okay. So the subconscious mind will basically be behind the scenes, okay, or behind the stage in a sense, okay. But you have to get to the director, okay, the one that created, all right, or that energy that created these realms, and understand what these realms are and how they are beneficial to oneself, okay, even if it's identifying you through all these realms, okay. All right, because to have a vision, all right, to have this vision, which I actually go hard for it on this perspective. To have a vision to see, okay, it first has to be implanted, okay, all right. It has to be seated in you, all right, and it has to become a thought, okay. That means it has to be pondered into you. It becomes a thought, okay. So with these thoughts, you start to have visions. You start to see, all right. And sometimes it don't even be your own thought, all right. Sometimes it doesn't even be your own thoughts. Okay? Now, are our past lives actively exist in our subconscious? Yes, they do. Yes, they do. So if you do go to these realms through the subconscious or in the subconscious, you are definitely tapping into an energy that is still in existence. Okay? It's just not in the now of where you're at. Okay? And each realm has its significance of information, intel, power, okay? Direction of, you know, who we are, okay, as a whole. Okay. But you have to have a vision, and everything has to be on one accord through the now, which is your body, mind, and soul, or your mind, body, and soul has to be in alignment. Okay. And that's the same as your conscious, subconscious, and unconsciousness have to be in alignment. Okay. Okay. Your life has been symbolized in an imagination of the unconsciousness. Our life has been symbolized, okay, in the imagination of the unconscious. When they talk about the sleeping beast, or they're talking about um, this is a life is a dream, okay, they are talking about this unconscious mind, okay? They're talking about this unconscious mind. And your life is being symbolized and through the imagination or through the dreams, the flow, okay, of the unconsciousness, okay, where endless perception resides, okay, where endless perception resides, okay, the emotion to hear, see, feel, speak, all right, transforms in this alignment, okay. So when we're talking about the emotion, like I said, energy, motion, okay, or three motion if you want to turn that E into a three, okay? But that three motion or energy motion, okay, works through all three alignments of the mind, okay? Your unconscious, subconscious, and consciousness, okay? And once all of that is in alignment, okay, you can see, hear, feel, speak, all right? We transform so much in this alignment through thought. Okay. Now you also can see no evil, hear no evil, or speak no evil when it comes to the unconsciousness. Okay. Because you don't want to just be storing and implanting things in your mind, right? And you can just stay away from those spaces. Okay. You don't want to be in tune to everything. All right. So there are steps that help, that help us, with the see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil, because you don't want that to be a part of your existence in your consciousness. Okay. And you definitely don't want it stored. We don't want to store everything in the unconscious. Okay. But these steps are frequency to make it real. Okay. So you have to understand your frequency levels and the frequency levels of this existence. Okay. That 3D as well. Third eye. Okay. Well, third eye. All right. Three is the key. Like I said in that three. Okay. So you have to be aware of your frequency levels. Okay. You got to be aware of others' frequency levels. You have to be aware of frequency levels in your space. All right. Or in your path. Okay. Like it be people that be sharing stuff on social media, and a lot of people will flock to it. and it becomes a part of your unconscious mind. And then sometimes from that unconscious mind is in your subconscious, and now it's in your consciousness, it's in your reality. Okay. Yep, some things can be overwhelming. All right. And those things that are overwhelming in our consciousness, okay, are things that is trying to trajectory or what pushes way, okay, or grow through our unconscious minds as well, that we must confront. All right. We must face it or we must deal with it. Okay. Sometimes you got bad weeds that you're not intentionally trying to be in tune with, but it still becomes an implant into your unconsciousness. But you have to cut them weeds down on a regular, okay? Or when it tries to seek its way through to your consciousness, your conscious world. Okay? So it definitely can be overwhelming at times. Okay? And we have to proportion, okay, what we are in tune with, okay? A proportion of the cell or yourself or matter, also the source as well. Okay? This unconscious mind is unsealed completely. Okay? It has never been locked. Okay? So when you think about Pandora box or the paradox, and you think of it's this hidden treasury, okay? And I know we talk about we have to unseal or unlock our true selves or dive deeper within ourselves to unlock, okay, our power. But your unconscious mind has never been unsealed completely at all. It was only about us diving into it, okay, which comes with awareness, okay? It has always been an open gate, all right, to our existence. Now, illusions in this conscious world has kept us from diving into the unconscious. It has instilled fear so we won't go far out in our unconsciousness, you know, deep down in the water, far out in the ocean. Okay. It has kept us from finding who we truly are. Okay. Or dealing with who we truly are. All right. And when I was thinking about this open gate, I was thinking about that ocean gate, y'all. Remember the ocean gate thing? When they went deep down in the water? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. But that came to mind just now. But yeah, your unconscious mind has never been blocked or unsealed. Okay. It's always been an open gate to our it's just all about you getting back there to that place, you know, going back home. You know, if a lot of us move away or get away from, you know, who we are, okay, in a sense. So when we do go back, or if we decide to go back, sometimes people lose their way and they can't even get back there. Okay, they become lost souls in a sense. The treasure of darkness, like a treasure below the sea. Right, sis. Right, the treasure of darkness. I like that. Yeah, the treasure below the sea. That's why they don't want us out there. You know, it's a lot of things in the ocean that can shed light on a lot of things to our existence. Okay, like it's a lot. So there's a lot of areas they don't want you to go too deep in. Of course, you don't want to employ, but just understand why. But there's many ways of tapping into that to see what's going on beneath the surface or covering up who we are, right? Or covering up who we are. There's a lot of man-made things that have covered up a lot of things, okay, on this grid, in this grid, okay, that keeps you away from who you are. But your unconscious mind is not on lockdown. It's never been chained. It's never been, you know, blocked. It's all about you getting back to you. And the only way you can get into that unconscious state of mind, that nothingness, you know, the beginning of everything is you have to become aware of everything in the subconscious and consciousness first. And you have to understand the patterns, the dialogue, the symbolisms, how energy fluctuate, the motion of oneself. But ultimately, you are your own map, okay, to your unconscious mind, to all unconscious mind, okay? And all it takes is a deep dive, okay? We do it without awareness at times, not even knowing we're doing it. But the more you get into that motion, the more you start to see this shit for how it really is. I can't really just tell you, you have to see it yourself. Okay, I can talk about it all day, but you have to really see this existence for what it is. Okay, a lot of lies keep you from becoming yourself. That's true. A lot of lies. Okay, lies. Okay, when you think of lies, think of lives as well. A lot of lies. Okay, have kept us from ourselves. The more we generate, create, and procreate in this bitch, okay, something is being put, it's another level on top of that level, okay? So you have to go beyond the lies or the lies. You got to keep going. All right. Um, but yeah, their unconscious mind is always there. Okay. The key to getting to that is just getting in tune, okay, with yourself and understanding all, okay, that all seeing eye. And I know a lot of people don't understand that as well with the three, okay, that all seeing eye means that you see not only from the the subconscious and subconscious and consciousness, but you see from the unconscious seat, which is the director, okay, and that means that you see this grid for what it is, this life for what it is, from all angles. And once you see it from all angles, you can't even really be disturbed. Okay, sometimes we do get a little frustrated, but you really can't be disturbed because you see it and understand what it is. Okay, all right. That's a deja vu for me. Okay, definitely can be deja vu. Definitely can be deja vu. Okay. Um. So when I was diving into this unconscious, and I got to the open gate, and Ocean Gate came, and all of that. So water. Let's get back to water because the unconscious mind is below deep levels of the water. Okay, it's a source of you. It's where all those what they call organisms, microorganisms, cells, okay, all of that, okay, those elements that make up humans or animals or the trees, these energies in this life, okay? So we know that water is also symbolic for the soul. Parasites, yes, parasites as well. Parasites as well. Okay. Okay. Parasites as well. Everything is in the water, deep down in the water, right? So, we know water deals with the soul, okay? But also water means wet. So that was really bothering me that day. Like, okay, water means wet. Like that's like, is this a riddle? Like, is that really a riddle? Molecules, okay, yes, sis, give it to me. Okay. All of this exists in the water, deep down. Okay. Matter. deep down. Okay. They talk about the oil deep down. Like, all in the water. Okay. But I definitely got to download that. I was looking at the water origin again, and it was saying wet. So I'm just like, okay, what the fuck? Is this a riddle? Like, why I didn't never think about this before? Why? What the fuck? Water means wet. Like that is so confusing. I think somebody put this in to play, right? To kind of confuse and fuck a motherfucker up, because water actually has a lot of significant qualities and purposes in our existence. It generates our life, okay? But what you're seeing as water isn't what it is, okay? That's just an illusion of what water really is, okay? So water isn't real, okay? The formation of what we see it as isn't real, okay? It's really a wave of mattered energy, okay? It's mattered energy, a wave of mattered energy, okay? This live is deja vu for me. I've seen this before. What you mean you've seen this before? Say it, hey, it's been out there before, right? Like you tapping into some shit, okay? Who's not to say I don't did this live before, okay? In a different realm, time zone, okay? Who's to say I didn't? Okay? Who's to say it wasn't you? Okay, that did it. Okay, since we all can interconnected, all right? But yeah, this water, that shit was throwing me through a loop, like, what the fuck? But understanding that water is basically a wave of mattered energy, okay? So when they were saying wet to me, that shit was just throwing me off this time. I'm like, this shit don't make any sense. That's just bullshit. But when I got to diving into the matter form of it and understanding what matter really is as well, okay? Just taking a little extra look, a deep dive into matter again, and realizing and understanding that it's a substance, okay, from which something is made. So I'm like, okay, so if matter is a substance, okay, of something that is made, okay, and it's also a trajectory, okay, which is a wave of matter energy when it comes to the water, okay, okay. So what the fuck is matter made of? Okay, so you look at the word matter, and we know that matter is mother, but it also means origin. Okay, it also means origin. Okay, and we know with origin, that's the original cell. Okay, the original source of life beginning. Okay, know you're live. I remember this. Damn, for real. I don't know. Maybe I don't talk about some of this stuff before. Okay, so that is the source from which all things you think, okay, originate from, or just all things originate. So that goes back to the unconsciousness, that subconscious, okay? I mean, not subconscious, that unconscious mind, okay? The nothingness, all right? Okay? Mother is also a replica of the grid, okay? That matter, hmm which is mother, which is origin of self, okay? So that goes back to the woman, okay? All right, that goes back to the woman being the origin of all, okay, or that feminine or that womb energy, okay. But when it comes strictly to this unconsciousness dealing with the mind, it is talking about the nothingness, okay, which is that unconscious mind, okay. Okay. Also, um, I want to say, I think it's matter, right? Also deals with a word, also deals with the origin of a word, wood. Now, wood, when I got this, and I'm diving into the unconscious now, so the unconscious is breaking down everything from beginning to the end to what I'm seeing it now. Okay, so from the origin of it and how it's looking today. Okay, so with this wood, we talk about the wood in the Bible. Okay, as a sacred element as well, especially when it comes to fire. Okay, but with this matter also being the origin of the word wood, okay, and that wood also having the origin of timber, okay. I got to thinking about timberland, okay, and when I'm thinking about this timberlands, I'm thinking about the tree, okay, that's on these timberlands. And I know a lot of people say they don't wear timberlands because our people was hung on these timbers, okay, and it represents you being hung. Shallow minds, very shallow. I was there. Trust me, I was there. I was there with you. Okay. But it's a very shallow mindset because that has nothing to do with it. That actually has to do with the illusion. Okay. That actually has to deal with one's perspective. Okay. That also has to deal with one's thoughts. Okay. Feeling what they see. Okay. Becoming their vision. Okay. All in the emotion. Okay. From the unconscious mind. So a lot of people think that these shoes were made out of mockery dealing with us being hung. And like I said, I've been there. But if you look at the significance of the timber, okay, and that tree of the timber, which is on the timberland, it actually deals with the matter. It actually goes back to the mother. And with that mother and that tree, that goes to that tree of life that we also are in tune with. Okay. The information we have gained dealing with the tree of life, having the connection to all structure and all life. Okay. I'm seeing this slide right here now. It's confirmation I think I've seen in the dream world. Oh, okay, okay. Now, because hey, and we get messages, we get signs and all of that through that. Okay? You definitely do. Okay? All right. So these Timberlands, y'all, if you want to believe it, that's what it is, then believe it that way. But it's very shallow of you. Okay? You have to look at things from a higher perspective, um, which actually well, I ain't gonna say higher perspective. Beyond, okay, the conscious perspective. Okay? Because everything in the subconscious is man's. Okay? It becomes man's, all right, into their world, that consciousness. Okay. But I thought that was significant as well with the wood being also a term that is connected to matter. Okay. Now, energy, okay, energy is also has its own origin as well. And I never really looked into it until now, but it deals with activity or action. So that goes back to your flow, your force, okay, your power, okay. And we also put in energy in everything that we do, also in work, okay. It is our force of expression, it's the operation, It's what we generate. Okay. Okay. So from the unconsciousness, okay, to the subconscious, to your consciousness. All right. Your energy has pushed the force of action. Okay. Which is a force of expression, which becomes your structure. Okay. It becomes your vision, your image. It's all an operation. Okay. Into this world. But I don't think a lot of people understand how deep and how powerful the unconscious mind is. Okay. I don't think a lot of people understand how powerful they are as beings when it comes to the mind. Okay. When it comes to the elements of self. I don't think a lot of people understand how powerful we generate into this existence. Okay. Because just with a blink of an eye, things can appear. Okay. And it's all about how you generate it. Okay. So you have to be in full control of all three of these trinities. Okay. That real trinity, that unconscious, subconscious, and consciousness. That's the real trinity. Okay. Which is that nothingness, right? To that big spark, all right, to life. Okay, that cycle has to go through it every time. So if you're not in awareness of your unconscious and understanding the blueprint that is being directed from the unconscious, okay? I know it's a lot of people that's not going to understand what I'm saying, and that's cool, that's okay. It's not new, it's not right. It's not probably time for you to understand it, but trust and believe it's going right into your unconscious. So one day you will get it. But I know a lot of people are not going to understand what I'm saying, especially when it comes to the realms. It's all a part of your subconscious mind. Okay, that's where we dream at. Okay, it's where everything is at when it comes into reality. Okay, so you got to be aware of who you are on all fucking levels. All right, and understand the potential that you hold beyond this existence. Okay, just got to understand that. Yeah, that unconsciousness, y'all dive, continue to dive. It's definitely where you need to go when you're going into self healing, when you're trying to change, when you're trying to create, when you're trying to set goals, all of that shit, okay? Go into your unconscious mind, okay? It is also, thank you. It is also that, because I'm getting another terminology for what this was symbolism of what the unconscious mind can look like as well. You know, that Garden of Eden, okay? Not paradise, the Garden of Eden, okay? Because remember, the Garden of Eden has two trees, okay? So you have to continue, you know, to weave out what you don't want stored in your unconscious because it's going to be a part of your DNA. So that's really all I really got on that, y'all. And I really didn't even put my damn mail on here because trying to get it all out at the same time. And I had a lot wrote down, so I wanted to make sure I hit the right, the most important um, notes. But when I was thinking about, why water is represented as wet, because I really couldn't really understand why they would have that as a definition. It's just stupid to me. But I knew it was something that has to be decoded. Okay. So if you look up that word wet, it has a definition of moist and damp. Okay. Moist and damp. And if civilization, life itself came from water, which is that wave of mattered energy. Okay. There are certain things on our body that is moist and wet. Moist and damp. Okay. All right. So that goes back to the frequency. All right. It goes back to that frequency, dealing with that wave of matter energy. So what you speak, what you see, all right, and also what you hear. But let's be clear. Women, okay? Women, okay? That yoni, okay? That yoni, okay? It's also symbolic to this wet, okay? That moist and dampness, okay, of this water, okay? So you got to be careful of what you put or allow into that yoni as well, okay? You got to be careful because that also travels through right to your unconscious mind. And some people might call it soulmates. Not soulmates, but what they call it, like an attachment to somebody, soul tie. Okay, and you don't want a soul tie. Okay, unless it's beneficial. Okay, because as long as you have certain soul ties through the yoni, which is a right direct connection to your unconsciousness, because it's gonna be what you plant, what you put in there. Okay, it plays out in your relationships. It plays out in your reality. Okay. All right. So got to be careful. All right. It's like our own creator pun that amplifies these waves of images and symbols because we also create children. We have children. Okay. That is also a replica or symbolizing, creation itself. Okay. Creating images and symbols through the frequencies or the waves being amplified. Okay. So you got to be careful of that. Okay. So there's definitely a direct connection to your unconsciousness. Okay. And you don't want people just be popping up out the blue that you don't put out in the past in the back of your mind. Buried them, got rid of them. And here they come back and popping back up. Oh, no. No. Okay. So you got to be wary of that too. But yeah, y'all. I'm gonna get up out of here. Jen, actually, the kids got to go ahead and go to bed. But I'm gonna get up out of here. I will definitely talk to y'all soon. I have some more content that I want to bring to y'all. And like I said earlier, if you didn't catch my earlier brief live, I will be here. Okay, I'm gonna take a rest for this Facebook thing that's going on, and being banned from over there and stuff like that. So without no reason, no cause that I am aware of, but I kind of got a feeling. Okay, but I'm gonna be here, and if I don't be here, most likely I will be over here. But I'm gonna also dive into my TikTok as well too, though. But this will be my mainstream from here on out. Um, but I will definitely see y'all again this weekend. I got some more information I want to get to y'all that I've been diving in left and right. Okay, since I didn't have no distraction of those apps. Okay. So yeah, y'all. as always. Thanks for the live. Appreciate you. You welcome, sis. Anytime. It's an honor for any one of y'all, all y'all actually, for joining me. It's always a pleasure to see y'all on here and building with your girl. But yeah, I will see y'all on the next one. And as always, love, peace, and oneness. And if y'all don't mind sharing the live, share the live. Okay? Let's get it out there. But I see y'all on the next one.